Some people might have a little rock and roll pneumonia.
You wanted the best, you got the best from my home studio on Long Island, New York. Welcome to Ian Scotto Rocks. I am your host, Ian Scotto, and enough is enough of the clickbait. It has just gotten incredibly out of hand. What am I referring to exactly? Well, we all know about the death of Ace Frehley about a week and a half ago. And it was huge news that reverberated not just throughout the Kiss world, the rock world, but just the entire globe at large because of how big of an icon that Ace was. Now, about a week after that, Paul Stanley's assistant and someone who's done work for Kiss dies as well. Now, this is a guy whose name I don't know, and I'm someone who I stay on top of Kiss news all the time, as you all know. But outside of like maybe Kiss podcasts, this would not be a news story because it's not someone people have heard of, right? So because of all the clicks that this death of Ace Frehley has generated for sites who probably don't know the first thing about Ace Frehley, they've decided we got to exploit this some more and get even more clicks because of the death of this person who worked with Paul Stanley. And it's quite frankly pretty disgusting, and it just makes you realize that integrity and ethics and just accuracy in journalism is now a thing of the past because it's all about just selling as many people to advertisers as possible, and it doesn't matter the accuracy on what you're reporting. Now, let's get into what I'm actually talking about here, because I came across this just on my feed, and this article is not just from here, but it was picked up by Yahoo News and other publications, and when you just see this on your news feed, you see the headline. So this was originally on Men's Journal. Kiss loses another member days after Ace Frehley's death. And I end up seeing this without the sub-headline, without any of the paragraphs, and for Kiss fans, we're going to click on it. It's like, holy shit, who's passed away now? You know, it wouldn't be Gene or Paul because their name would be on the headline, but you're thinking a lesser known member, probably not Peter Criss, but this is the headline there would be if unfortunately someone like Bruce Kulick died, or Eric Singer, or Vinnie Vincent, Tommy Thayer, right? Because they're lesser known members. But no, it is the assistant to Paul Stanley, because you scroll down in this article and you see the actual post that Paul made. Danny Francis, my dear friend, assistant, and so much more for 30 years of tours and life, has died after a brutal fight with liver cancer. He was loved by Aaron and all my children, and his kindness was given to everyone he came in contact with. My condolences to his entire family. Now, if the headline accurately read, assistant to Kiss member Paul Stanley passes away after a brutal fight with liver cancer, it's not going to get clicks because this is not a public figure. It's not someone people knew. But it's just, how do we present this in a way that people will click on? You know, and it's funny this is Men's Journal because it's by this woman, Kayla Aldecoa, who I don't know anything about. And, you know, don't send any hate tweets or anything like that. But first, for one, it's all these sites have become just like a giant conglomerate. Like, why is this woman a writer for Men's Journal? Now, I don't put the blame on her. I really don't. What I put the blame on is just society today, because most of these writers for these sites are just trying to make a living. And the way that they do so is they have to put out articles that people are going to click on. And unfortunately, it's like the more salacious the headline, the more it's going to generate clicks and ad revenue. But there has to be some standard and some integrity in what you put up as a site, especially a highly visited site like Men's Journal. Don't put up a headline that a member of Kiss has died, because it actually is very disrespectful to the families of other members of Kiss who are going to see a headline like that and be kind of shocked. So, yeah, I think it has a lot to do with people who are writing for these publications are just worried about keeping a job right now, because AI is taking over everything, and AI could probably generate wilder titles than we could even think of. I see it all the time on YouTube. Luckily, as I've said, I've been very bullish on YouTube, and I do like the fact that YouTube is doing something about it, or at least trying their best to stop the ad revenue going to these AI YouTube channels. And I have seen rock fans standing up to this AI-generated rock content and writing in the comments things like, this is complete AI-generated slop. And since I'm on the topic, I'll give you an example of this right now. See, now this YouTube page, for example, The Rock Vault with Aika, where it says, a proud Leeds UK native with a lifelong passion for 80s hard rock. Like, I figured that the creators of this must be like, we're creating this hot chick who's going to talk rock news. We're going to make millions on YouTube. But not so fast, because as you can see here, it only has 109 subscribers, and I've come across their stuff, and yes, you do click on it because you're like, this is an attractive-looking woman, and then you actually watch some of this, and you go, this is completely AI-generated.
All right, rockers. Today, we're not bouncing all over the decade.
So for those of you not well-versed on AI at this point and how advanced it has gotten, this is completely AI-generated. This is not a real person.
Epic choruses and more hairspray than a salon on overdrive. I've done me homework, so let's count down the top 5 best-selling hard rock albums of this legendary year. And trust me, I'll be digging into not just the hits, but some hidden gems that deserve way more love. Let's get into it. Kicking off
Okay, so I'm not going to play the whole thing, but there's little intricacies that you could kind of pick apart and realize this is an AI-generated person. But yes, that's how good it's gotten. And then you think, how am I going to compete with this AI-generated nonsense? But luckily, a lot of you guys have been rejecting it. So I make this point just to say, I understand why people in these positions need to write certain headlines to get the clicks, because they're just trying to keep their jobs. They're trying to stay afloat. And I just think the higher ups at these companies need to make it a point that there has to be some journalistic integrity to what we put out there as writers, publications. Yes, we all clickbait. We want people to click on our videos or our articles. I try to find out what's the thumbnail I think people are going to click on and what's the title I think people will go with. But I am always accurate. I don't put something out there that's completely insane, and you do see all that all the time where there's this big news story and it turns out it is complete fake news. I'll give you an example beyond this. In recent months, there were articles all over the place that Howard Stern was being fired from SiriusXM. Complete fake story. It was not accurate in the very least. And it was just the controversy over, is he going to resign? Is he not? Is his contract going to be the massive amount that it was in past years with more competition through Spotify and even sites like YouTube? But he's still going, whether you're a fan of his work or not. Yet there were headlines all over the place at what are supposed to be reputable news outlets saying that he was fired. So I just made this video because it's in our realm for this week, with them exploiting the death of Ace Frehley and the death of this assistant who worked with Paul Stanley. Enough is enough with the clickbait. Something needs to be done about it. And when you see places publishing work like this with completely inaccurate headlines, stop frequenting those sites, because it's just not good. And with that, I will never put out bullshit, so be sure to subscribe to the channel. Check out the merch store for Ian Scotto Rocks merchandise. Be sure to like the video, hype the video. You can even send us a super thanks, which would be greatly appreciated. And for more content from Ian Scotto Rocks, you can click this video right next to my head. Stay tuned for more. We have some interviews coming up very soon for the first time on this channel. A lot of great stuff in the works for Ian Scotto Rocks.